Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and we are going to do a series this week on yes you can. You're like, a yes you can? Yeah, we're going to do a yes you can series. So there's a lot of things that you go through in your mind, right? You're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's too hard. We definitely don't use the hard word. Things are hard. Life is hard in general. So you choose your hard. There's two different levels of hard. To stay in the same methodology that you are, there's no growth there. Or to challenge yourself and push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Do the things that you don't want to do. Do the things that you fear doing. All of those things are super important. So you decide which hard. One hard's productive, one hard is not. So that's why the yes you can is important. And this topic today is on saying no. And yes, you can say no. I hear this a lot, and people, like if it's my clients or something, they'll be like, I can't say no. No, you choose to not say no. You can say the word no. No, you can say the word no and you can stand by it. It's a big, huge boundary, but you can't say no out of anger or resentment or like no, right? You don't want to do that. But you can say no if it doesn't serve your best and highest good. While we all need to work in compassion and compromise and various things like that, you don't do so at the risk of your own mental sanity and your own peace. See, you get in your headspace about saying no and then feeling guilty about it. Believe it or not, that does go into a codependency. Be sure to either listen to it here on YouTube or out at anywhere you get your podcasts, the Positivity Experience. There's one on codependency and enmeshment, and it might make a lot more sense as to where you get that guilt, because you should be able to allow yourself to say no with not a lot of explanation. Because when you start over explaining yourself, right, now you're giving that person the ability to approve or not approve your no. And I've used this a lot. So if you, let's say you've invited me over to a barbecue, and it's fun. It's not like work or anything. You're just like, hey, we're super tight. It's not even like we're just acquaintances. We're super tight. You're like, hey, can you come over to this? I want you to come over to the barbecue on Saturday. I said, no, I'm not going to be able to make it. Number one, I don't have to give you 800 reasons, right? No, I'm not going to be able to make it means regardless of what my reason is, I'm still not showing up. But let's say I did give a reason. And I said, little Johnny has soccer on Saturday, or, all day. We're at a soccer tournament. I can't make it because I'm not going to be around. Okay, you might be like, okay, it kind of sucks, but that's fine. But however, what if I said, well, I think I'm going to sit home and watch Netflix all day. I just want to do that. This is if I'm sharing. This is why you don't share, overly share. You could say things if you're like, hey, no, I can't make it. Definitely going to do a rain check. That's fine. Be kind. You can give an alternative date if in fact you choose. Don't give an alternative date if you really don't want to give an alternative date. But if I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to watch Netflix all day. Now suddenly you go, well, wait a minute. And you might be like, oh, okay, bye. You hang up the phone. And now you're like, wait a minute. How's she not coming to my house? Like, how's Netflix more important than me? Now you've made this about you. So now if you're now asked to do something that you really don't want to do, you go, oh man, now I have to give 800 reasons why. And it's literally giving somebody the approval to approve your reasoning, and you're allowed your reasoning. So when you tell someone no, like I said, you don't want to do it out of emotion, but the holidays are coming up, right? And yes, you can say no. Other people may not like it, so they're going to make it seem like you can't say no, like they're just going to ignore your no. So you remember this, that is a boundary. But yes, you can, and you can hold this boundary. If it becomes problematic and there's a constant calling, texting, then block them for a short period of time. And then, because you have to realize you're now starting something new by saying no. So people aren't going to necessarily believe it in the beginning. So it's not going to come from you being like, okay, I have this newfound revelation that I'm allowed to say no, and this is my boundary, and everybody's going to adhere to it. They're not. They're going to try to push it. And don't say you can't hold a boundary, because yes, you can. And no is one of those boundaries that you can hold. When someone doesn't like the answer, and especially when they hear no, and it isn't something that they understand or that they don't align with, they're going to try really hard to make you feel bad about it. That can only happen if you allow that behavior. If you allow someone to hit you where they know that it hurts, right? That's just like human nature. You know what bothers somebody. And you got to be careful not doing the same thing. right? So we know you don't want people doing this to you. This means you don't do it to other people. So if you know that someone says, no, I'm not able to make it, and you start getting all insecure in your head, like, well, why not? Like, you're my friend. Like, what could you possibly be doing? I didn't see anything. Stop analyzing it. They don't owe you that. No one needs to give you a full dialogue in order for you to do one of two things: validate it and say, okay, or to negotiate around it. If they wanted you to negotiate around it, they would ask you that. And with the holidays coming up, and no matter what country you are, you guys have various holidays in different countries. There may be times that there is usually family gatherings or big gatherings. And every time you go, it's a drain. It is just a drain. You get a million questions. You are just exhausted. You just don't feel like you can show up. You don't have to go. Are you gonna, and because people sometimes won't even ask you if you're coming. They're just kind of telling you. They're like, okay, so you're gonna bring the turkey, right? And you're like, well, I'm not coming. Whoa, what do you mean you're not coming? Are you kidding me right now? Yeah, I'm not gonna make it, but I can come over Wednesday and I can help you chop stuff. I'm just gonna take some time for myself. I just wanna sit in my house. I wouldn't even go that far. But if you feel like you have to, just say, hey, give them an alternative. It's not that you don't want to see your parents. It's maybe you don't want to see Uncle Tommy, and then your siblings get drunk, and then all of these things are happening. Why would you subject yourself to that? That's not compromise. Compromise is like, hey, we're going to do this at 4 instead of 7, and you'd rather be done at 7. You go at 4, right? Compromise is not, this is the most, I get the worst feelings when I'm there. I'm going to make myself go anyway. No, that's not compromise. Hard pass on that. So you have to be really careful with committing to things. And that's why I always tell you, do not make a commitment out of an obligation. Because if you don't want to go, now you're going to find 800 reasons to not go, or you're going to go and you're going to be miserable. All you had to do was say no. Just know ahead of time. People are not going to like it all the time. They will get their feelings hurt. Let them deal with it. Flip that though. People can also say no to you without a follow-up. You're allowed to have your feelings hurt. You're allowed to feel a little sad that somebody's not coming. Don't sit there and try to convince them otherwise. Don't try to understand it. Don't try to negotiate, because now that's you stepping over their boundaries. So the same way you can say no, yes, you can hear no and not immediately think that it's something about you. And if you do, then you know that that's where you're lacking in self-love. So I want you to be very clear on that. And I promise, if you want me to do another podcast on that, I did one a while back, I can totally do that again on this whole saying no thing. It's amazing. And remember, the same respect that you would like in the same way that you would like. And listen, this isn't a game. I mean, a race, or a test, or who's doing it and who's not doing it. Just because you adhere to someone's no and they don't be like, well, they don't. Okay, well, we're not in 3rd grade. At some point, when you're on your healing journey and someone's in a different area, yeah, sometimes the person in the healing journey sometimes does have to make more of the moves, more of the compromise in the beginning. It's just, that's how that works. So yes, you can. Can you say no? Yes, you can. Are people going to get upset? Yeah, they can. And that's okay. Are you going to get upset if somebody says no? You can. Process it though. And the next time that you find yourself going right into the yes mode, take a pause. Take a pause. There's a rule of thumb. Do not make a commitment when you're happy. Do not make a commitment when you're sad. So if you're on top of the world, having a few drinks, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, let's do that next week. Well, now you wake up the next day and you're like, oh my God, what did I commit to? Or someone's sad and you feel so bad. And you're like, yeah, I'll totally go. And now you're like, oh my God, why did I say I was going to go? Do not make a commitment out of obligation or out of just impulse. Stop impulsively responding. So that's important. And that will also help you with the no. The moment you feel guilt from this no, that's not your stuff that you're carrying. I'm giving you the heads up that people can and will try to make you feel bad about it. They can only make you feel bad about it if you allow that behavior to happen. After a period of time, people will start to understand that, hey, wow, when they commit to something, they show up. You're not flaky anymore. If they say no, they're not coming, and I have to respect that, right? That's going to come over a period of time when people understand this new thing, and vice versa. They're not feeling scared to tell you that they can't make something, or even at the last minute change a plan because you're going to kirk out and freak out. No, now you're creating a healthy relationship because you're showing someone that, hey, and you can say, oh man, that's kind of sucked. I even took the day off, but it is what it is. I would prefer you not say that, because then that's still a little bit of manipulation. But in the beginning, that may happen. Over a period of time, it will not. You'll be perfectly fine understanding that people aren't on your time zone, that either, but they're not on your time frame. So the next time you think that you have to say yes, and that you think that you can't say no, yes, you can.